computer, so we are live and recording. And Gator's taking a quick drink of water before we start. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 1st Friday Facebook Live on the Ask a Bookkeeper show. Our mission on the Ask a Bookkeeper show is to take the big, intimidating ideas that often scare small business owners away from following their dreams, and we simplify them and turn them into just another fun part of the adventure of running a small business. So think of us like Sesame Street for small business owners. Now, our show is largely crowdfunded, which is why we're not advertising or thanking any sponsors today. So if this information is helpful to you and you want to see this show succeed and grow, please visit askabookkeeper.com and click the button to donate on that page. From there, you can also access our YouTube channel and our Facebook group, where you can catch past episodes and participate in ongoing discussions to help your business succeed. Pretty please subscribe to us on YouTube and tell your friends about how awesome this is. I'm your host, Ingrid Edstrom, the Priestess of Profits, with my co-host today, Procrastinator Gator.
Hey everyone, this is Gator, and I'm happy to be here. I'm a fellow entrepreneur like yourselves. I run Gator's Bayou Tours down in Louisiana, and it is a real pleasure to be here. And oh, hey, fun fact, you mentioned Sesame Street. Well, you know that little swamp where Kermit sings the Rainbow Connection? That part's part of my tours. Yeah, I used to play down in that swamp all the time when I was a kid. That's a great place. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Ingrid.
You play. Kermit plays the banjo. Well, we are really excited to talk with our special guest today as we work to dig into some of the deep psychology behind our financial decisions or lack thereof. Cheryl Kolevzon, thank you so much for joining us on Ask a Bookkeeper.
Good morning, Ingrid, and good morning, Gator, and say hi to Kermit for me.
Oh, I surely will. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Cheryl.
So, would you like to know a little bit about who I am, since you both shared?
Oh,
yes, please tell us a little bit about you, Cheryl.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I have been in practice since 1994. I've done a variety of different things, including a lot of work with people in crisis, which I think can apply to what we're going to be talking about today, because I think sometimes moving a business forward can feel like a crisis moment when we get sort of stuck in the position just before we take the leap to be able to expand and increase the magic of what we're doing with our business.
Absolutely.
I'm also, as Gator and I talked about earlier, a theater addict. Yes, my name is Cheryl. I'm a theater addict. I love purple, and just because I haven't done this before and I have gray hair, so this is a leap for me, I brought my mascot with me.
Yay, Beaker!
It's Beaker. Oh, I love that little guy.
Wonderful.
Anything else that you would like to know?
I think that's good to start with. So I know that Gator had some things going on in his business that as he was telling me about him, I was like, I think my friend Cheryl would be a really good person to help with this, because I think that this particular issue runs a little deeper than a lot of people think about from first blush. So Gator, do you want to tell us what's going on with you right now?
Yeah. Well, I'm at a point in my business where, growth is inevitable all the time. And it's time for me to start updating my systems and processes. Now, about a year ago, I went all computerized, largely at Ingrid's recommendation, and I've been loving that. But now I'm finding that, I gotta update the way that I'm doing things. I'm seeing some of the other tour companies in my area have updated a lot of what they're doing, changing with the times, and they're creating. Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, it's a better product than it used to be, and perhaps even a better product than what I'm serving. Now, that said, I'm running the tours, the way that I always have. I'm really enjoying them, but I feel like I could maybe be doing something better. But, it takes a lot of time to figure out how to set up all that stuff. And, well, frankly, I'd rather be out on the water. So I'm out there playing all day long, playing at work. I mean, that's the best kind of play, right? But the stuff in the background that I just can't seem to get myself to do. So yeah, what do we do about that? How do we change that mindset where I can start, really making the changes that are necessary?
So Gator, when we were talking about it before, there was one specific part of those systems and processes that you were really wanting to dig into, and it had more to do with your packages and pricing, not
Right.
necessarily how you were delivering your services. That comes with the, how do you bring the value to the table, and how do you communicate that value and charge the right prices for that value? And from our discussions earlier, that was where I was thinking that Cheryl might be able to really help with this, because I think that it's not just about the systems and processes. There's something deeper going on there. And particularly when it comes to the things that we talk about with you, wonderful procrastinator Gator, there are some things that you're putting off. And I think that Cheryl might be able to help us take a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as to why some of that might be.
Sure. Well, pricing is always tricky. It's always tough to think about. I feel like I'm making enough, but then sometimes come around and I realize, well, there just isn't quite enough in the budget. So, yeah.
Well, Gator, for a lot of people, when they first start on a new project, things feel really exciting and shiny, and they have a basic plan that they're going for, and they have people cheering them on. But sometimes once things have settled down into a functional routine, and then you start seeing what's going on around you, and the fact that if you're going to keep up, you're going to have to make some changes. Yeah. Then we start moving from just the excitement and the newness to the challenge, which particularly comes up for people around money, because money is all about survival. It is our foundation. And we look at, are we going to be able to take the risk to do this? What if it doesn't work out? Are we going to be able to compete with the people around us? We get into some of our fears and our failure mentality. And as all those challenges come up, I sort of compare it to somebody that has gone through some sort of treatment, like for substances or mental health treatment. When they go in, they get all kinds of new skills and applause, and everybody's encouraging them, cheering them on. And then when things start changing, there can sometimes be sort of a, wait a minute, this means changes. Like if you have employees and you're going to them now and saying, okay, if we're going to step up to the next level, it's going to mean we are going to have to take these new steps, these new risks. And everybody says, yeah, wait a minute, what does that mean? What does that mean for me? What does that mean? What change? I don't know about change. And we can start doing the same thing that somebody who's just coming out of treatment and into the new world starts feeling. And we can start having the siren song of relapse singing in our ear, because staying the way we have been feels much less scary. And even though you have big teeth and kind of big eyes, having to take risks can be really challenging for people, not only for that individual, but for, in a business, everybody that they are carrying along with them.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you talk about it being like an addict after recovery. When people are giving them a lot of kudos and reassurance after they get out, I guess for my instance, like in my business, I have a lot of customers who come back time and again every year. They'll come and visit the area, down in New Orleans, and they come back every year. And I'm a little scared that if I raise the prices, they're going to stop coming back. And they are my loyal customers. Now, I get a lot of new customers. That's the thing about tourism. There's always new customers. But it's the loyal customers that really make a business thrive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do I keep from disappointing them by raising my prices?
So, Gator, let's see if there's maybe a deeper question behind that question. I guess as we're looking at that and we're looking at the psychology there, and you're asking, how can I keep from disappointing my loyal customers? What is the fear behind that? Why are you afraid of disappointing your loyal customers?
That's a good question. Well, the money is the lifeblood of the business, and the customers are the ones that bring the money in. And I guess I'm afraid that they might not come back if the price gets too high, or if maybe it'll just be a bad experience for them just that once. So if I lose that, then I lose those customers, plus all the referrals, all the history that we've had, the traditions, many years. Some people have been coming for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're thinking about it, and you're thinking about how can you not disappoint your loyal customers, there might be other ways of going about it, such as creating an opportunity out of this challenge. That's the difference between seeing the challenges in every opportunity or seeing the opportunities in every challenge. So there could be an opportunity here to contact your loyal customers and say, hey, I need to do a price increase, and I'm thinking about it going about it a certain way. And I would love to get your feedback because your relationship is really important to my business, and I want to make sure that you're happy. People love being asked for help. They love that. This is an opportunity to build those relationships and go even deeper than you have before with these customers. And it sounds like you know who these customers are. A lot of them have been coming back for years. And it could also be a great opportunity to, essentially use your raving fan base rather than it just being, whoop, price increase, hey, which makes those loyal customers feel like they're just another one of the crowd. So finding ways of going about it that builds relationships rather than detracting from the relationships. I guess my question is, I feel like there's something going on even deeper than that when it comes to raising the prices that maybe you're avoiding. And maybe Cheryl can help us shed a little bit of light onto that.
Well, I'm up for hearing.
What I was thinking when you were talking, Ingrid, is that, again, when everybody is in the beginning stages, they're usually dealing with a familiar. And so that feels like a safety zone. But pushing on in new ways with new creativity may require Gator to step out there and sort of be the band leader, not only with his fellow employees, but with his loyal customers, and saying, yes, we are going to go to a new level of creative team together, but it's kind of scary to be the one stepping out in the front of the band.
Absolutely.
What if you don't play the right notes? Or what if they don't like the song that you choose? And being able to really help yourself first, and then the people that are coming along with you, to be able to take that leap, sort of like bungee jumping. If somebody can see you do it first and see that you believe in it, and you can create a vision for them, then I think that they not only could come along, but go to, this is the new, if you will, normal of excitement and creativity. And that, I think a lot of times in our society, particularly when you're talking about money, because money, again, is one of our most basic needs, that we define risk as a 4-letter word rather than defining risk, as Ingrid was saying, as opportunity.
Right.
Right. Right.
So Gator, with this idea of changing up your pricing and your packages and getting your team on board, getting your customers on board, how can you step outside your comfort zone and maybe stop avoiding stepping outside your comfort zone? Because it sounds like that's the big thing you're procrastinating here, is that this change feels uncomfortable, and it feels uncomfortable not just to you, but also maybe to your team as you're leading your team through this, but you're not sure. This whole game of entrepreneurship, it's like building the plane in the air as we fly it out of super glue, rubber bands, and duct tape. And we're all just making it up as we go. And there tends to be a lot of imposter.
Oh no!
There tends to be a lot of imposter syndrome that goes along with that. We're afraid that somebody's going to call us out on our mistakes when we're all human. So how can we humanize the conversation and bring people closer by being more vulnerable?
Well, both of you now have used analogies about alligators in the air, bungee jumping and an airplane. Yeah, I try to keep my tail on the ground, so I'll start there. But if we're talking vulnerability, maybe that's it, getting out of the comfort zone. Maybe I just need to try and do something I'm not comfortable with. I'm not really sure how to start that, though. Go ahead.
I also think, Gator, that's part of truly incorporating in yourself and in the people that are with you the idea of a team. It's much scarier to feel like you are the one out there all by yourself in the swamp. Whereas if you really include all of the others with you, the risk diminishes, and the sense of we are all in this together can make it feel like, it makes everybody buy in more.
Yeah.
So that you're not just the one out there, excuse me, but flapping your teeth in the breeze by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea. And this would work really well with what you're talking about earlier with getting in touch with my loyal customers, getting their feedback. So maybe what I need to do is get that feedback from customers and then meet up with my team and have a little circle brainstorming session. Or maybe even meet up with the team twice, once to ask them what sort of questions I should ask those loyal customers, then get some feedback from the customers, bring that to the team, and make some decisions. Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because that's a really great way to get buy-in from both your customers and your team. And that way you don't feel like you're doing it all alone. Yeah. Now, I want to touch back on an idea that Cheryl mentioned at the beginning of our talk here today, when she mentioned relapse and how this can be similar to somebody who is recovering from addiction. Anytime we're breaking out of an old habit, whether it be a substance or trying to change our diet or exercise routines, it can be really easy to slip back into old patterns, old thought patterns and limiting beliefs, the way that we used to think about things before we made these changes.
Well, because that was comfortable. That's what you know.
Exactly. Well, and when the opportunity comes up to take the new pattern, it's not always the first way that we think, because there's this other path that we're really used to taking, and it can be really easy to just take the usual path again because it's been a while since that particular sequence of events that is triggering that decision has come around. So as we think about it, I want to touch back on what you were saying about relapse, Cheryl, and what can we do when the opportunity comes back around? So for example, with Gator and the pricing, here we're getting ready to change up pricing, maybe create new packages, raise prices. We're working to get buy-in from team members and from customers. And there might come a moment down the line, either within this process as we initially try to get these new packages and prices out there, or when, say, an old customer that has been working with Gator for years comes around and they're used to the same old, and suddenly we're presented with an opportunity to, well, are we going to stick with the new process and try to create a learning, growing, building relationship out of this? Or are we going to slip back into the old routine and, oh, well, it's that customer? Can you tell us a little bit about how we can apply the ideas of relapse to these situations?
And stop making exceptions, yeah?
I think another piece that goes in with that is that when the relapse issue starts to come up, and when we start looking at making changes, another one of our social 4-letter words comes in, and that is conflict. We anticipate that there is going to be a potential conflict, and we tend to turn tail and run. And the first place that we run to is inside. And one of the most important things about this process is talk. Don't bury it inside of you. Reach out to your resources, and you can find out that conflict. What is your definition of conflict, Ingrid?
Oh, it's confrontation. Actually, I got this fantastic definition from Joe
right.
Woodard. Confrontation is a positive interaction with a momentary negative emotional response. So it is not something to be avoided.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Yeah. Yes. And so if you can understand that mentality and pulling people in as your team, I mean, essentially you're rewriting the dictionary of business success, and of life success for that matter. You're taking those things that we have long defined as roadblocks and turning them into bridges.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe you can help me with one little problem I have with confrontation is it's not so, I do avoid confrontation, but mostly people avoid confrontation with me, see, because I got big teeth. And no, I'm being serious here. Now you're laughing, and I understand that. Of course, it makes sense. But I think the reason why I avoid confrontation, yeah, well, Vika kind of scares me. But no, but the reason I avoid confrontation is because nobody's ever really confronted me in that way before. People avoid me, and so I just never really learned how to do it constructively.
Yeah. So Gator, I think that's actually a really good thing to bring up, because people do confront you. It's just that when it's a positive interaction with a momentary negative emotional response, you don't think about it as conflict or confrontation. So this conversation today on Ask a Bookkeeper, Cheryl and I confronted you with this issue. We've been talking about something that makes you uncomfortable. And there's been a little bit of a momentary negative emotional response, but because we did so in a positive, supportive way, you didn't notice that there was potential conflict or confrontation going on because we framed it in a positive way. And I think that that's a really good way of looking at it and thinking about, people think of confrontation and conflict as, okay, get ready for the argument. And it doesn't have to be that way. That is one of our limiting beliefs. That's a habit that we've been ingrained with often since childhood. And we can find a better way to go about our communication. Cheryl,
and they also, Ingrid, consider confrontation or conflict to be a a path to being alone, being abandoned. And as you can see by the example of how this has gone today, this has been anything but being alone and being abandoned.
Right.
Right. Wow. Well, I think that's really the big takeaway I got from today is having a team of people that will listen and understand and trust. And I trust them as well.
Yeah.
And then we can share the responsibilities, share the risks, share the confrontation. And in that way, we're doing it all together. And that sounds like a really important key to this whole thing.
Absolutely. And that team can be your team of employees. It can be your family. It can be your colleagues in your profession, in your local area, or even online. Or it can be a counselor or a therapist that you work with. I'm a firm believer that everybody could use some good professional advice from time to time. And working with a therapist or a business coach is a great way to do that. And I can see Cheryl's got her team all lined up.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
That duck looked tasty.
Keep your teeth to yourself, Gator.
So for our audience today, I would like to encourage you to continue this conversation on the Facebook group and think about what are the things that you've been avoiding that may be rooted in deeper internal psychological questions, particularly surrounding areas of money and finance, because we all grew up with limiting beliefs surrounding money and these ideas of what could be preventing us from really taking things to the next level in our businesses. So think about that. And we are just about at time. So I want to thank Cheryl for joining us today and for your fantastic insights. And please,
thank you, Miss
Thank
Cheryl.
you,
It's really a
everybody.
pleasure.
make sure to check out askabookkeeper.com. And if this has been of value to you, please donate and join us on Facebook to continue the conversation. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a fantastic May. Talk to you soon.
Have a great May. Bye, ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.